Funkite in the Wolfman for Governor campaign promos was Ralph Hall's college buddy, Murray Lang. Murray would stay on XERB for many years doing station promotions and spots. Lonnie Napier remembers this eccentric character.
He kept all of Wolfman's checks. Wolfman would pay him, and Wolfman kept noticing that his bank account was off. And he said, "What the hell's going on?" And he went over to Murray's house, and he said, "Look, I got a problem here, you know." And he opened up a drawer, and there was all the checks that he had paid Murray, and Murray hadn't cashed any of them. His mother or somebody had left him a ton of money. But for some reason, he just didn't cash them.
Yeah.
He was just nuts.
Although much of the programming on XERB was black R&B music, you gotta remember that the station was being run by three white guys who were just crazy about rhythm and blues. Ralph Hall remembers.
We had another guy with us, Art Hain. We called him Fat Daddy Washington, and he was down in San Diego. He took care of things at the transmitter. It was closer, so he was kind of our representative down there. But he also did an air show, and Smith and I did him from the L.A. studio. But we never put on that we were black or anything like that. We didn't try to do any, no pretense. We had an attitude, and it was a blues and R&B attitude that we used, relying on the music and driving that home and having fun with that whole scene at the time, that feeling, that R&B feeling, that the fun part of the blues, the black world, where you go to a guy's house and it's just like blues lines. You say the opening line you always say twice. Well, we go to a guy's house, he'd tell a joke, we'd all crack up, laugh, something terrible, and he'd tell the joke again, and we'd crack up worse the second time. So it's all an attitude.
1967 would prove to be a tumultuous year for XERB's music director, the man known in the office as Paul Anthony, on the air as the Naz, and in real life, Ralph Hall. Ralph describes his last days with the Border Blaster.
Oh, well, we formed a corporation to do all this Wolfman stuff. The Art Hain I mentioned in Minneapolis, we did it in Minneapolis. Wolfman was, he always was grinding for bucks, so he figured he could get some bucks from his cohorts. So he sold 20% to Art and 20% to Paul Anthony, me, and so he had 60%, which, doesn't give you, it doesn't mean anything, right? But we had a piece of the action, so to speak. And what it did is just get us involved in trying to make him bigger and better and ever make the whole thing a successful enterprise. So we actually, I saw it the other day in my collection of stuff. I got that stock certificate that I owned 20% of B&L Advertising, which was handling all the Wolfman bookings and everything. His wife's name was Lou, so that's B&L. And but he just legal maneuvers, just eased me out of that. So, but it's funny that when he fired me, that's kind of odd getting fired from something you own.
Yeah.
But anyway,
you own a piece of this, but to hell with you.
So he wanted to put things on the air that I wouldn't let him put on. I was the music director, and I was controlling the feeling of the station, and he'd put on anything for money. So. He fires me, and I walked out of his office, and as I walked out into the hallway, James Brown's road manager walked in the door. And so he was looking to me to help him do some promotion and everything, and I said, well, look, I don't work here anymore. I just got fired, but I'll change jobs immediately and be James's advertising director, advertising manager, advertising agency.
Yeah.
So immediately, just bam, like that, I started an advertising agency. First thing I did was travel around the West Coast, preceding James Brown and doing his advertising for him. So I started an advertising agency and did all kinds of other stuff around there. Did that for a while.
James Brown returns to Los Angeles on February 11th at the Shrine Auditorium. There'll be two big shows, the matinee at 4 in the afternoon and the evening performance at 8 p.m. Don't miss the James Brown Show, starring Mr. Dynamite himself, James Brown, with an all-star cast of 40 performers. This big 18-piece orchestra. Get your tickets now for the James Brown Show. Remember the date, February 11th at the Shrine Auditorium, the James Brown Show in Los Angeles. Go on, get it.
I think I didn't think I could rely on the advertising agency thing, so I got involved with KPPC when they were just changing from Well, going into what they called at that time progressive underground rock radio, alternative radio. It was just it was the heavy rock that the other stations wouldn't play. Now they play it as oldies quite readily, but back, I'm talking about Jimi Hendrix, Janis Joplin. Yeah, isn't that funny? When it started, it was just too heavy for the average wimpy rock and roll radio station. So that's how we got started, by playing things that the AM stations wouldn't play. We did it on FM, and it was, of course, an immediate monstrous hit.